In my most recent Eve Echoes Market Watch video, whereby I foolishly try to understand what's going on with the game's economy, I got this brilliant comment from somebody who didn't play the game, didn't know what it was, but was interested nonetheless, due to it being a gaming and economics video. So I figured, for anyone else coming across these videos in a similar fashion, this would prove to be a great starting point. So today, I'll be going through the basics of how Eve Echoes in-game economy functions in mid-2024, whilst enticing you to tickle or faceplant that subscribe button. It's your choice which. And for this video you do not need to watch what's going on here, as I'll be using some of my stock in-game footage, so you can pop this one on in the background to listen. So first and foremost, the economy in the mobile game Eve Echoes is player driven. Spaceships, space stations and other rare pieces of equipment are largely built by the players, using resources that are obtained by players through gameplay. These forms of gameplay vary with the type of materials that are rewarded, with the simplest forms of gameplay being ratting and mining. Ratting has you going up against NPCs to destroy them for loot and in-game currency, whilst mining will have you gathering raw materials with which to build. Both of these in-game activities can be conducted without limitations, in that a player can rat and mine for as many hours of the day as they wish to gather resources. These rewards can be freely traded between players through the in-game marketplace, with industrialists purchasing the raw materials that they need to build new ships, modules and structures to then sell off again on the marketplace. The demand for these industrial projects is maintained by the permanent destruction of assets within the game, whereby ships and structures are permanently removed from the game when destroyed. Well, permanently with an asterisk, but we'll get to that one. One bottleneck that can hold back the much larger industrial projects is planetary materials. These materials are earned passively at a fixed rate for every player. This rate can be increased through the use of skills and certain structures, but the principle remains the same. Regardless of the total gameplay time, the amount of these that are earned per player per day remains fixed. Throughout my Market Watch videos you'll hear me talk a lot about Plex. This is one of the game's premium currencies, which is responsible for paying for the game's subscription, and can be traded on the in-game market between players. This allows for the opportunity to play the game with subscription for free by grinding enough in-game currency to purchase the Plex off of a player who has purchased it from the in-game store with real money, who can then enjoy quick and easy wealth in return. Lastly, the values used throughout my videos are the fortnightly estimated market prices that are updated in-game during the fortnightly game maintenance period. For raw materials and Plex, these values represent the average value that the item has been bought and sold for over the past few weeks, and for larger goods such as ships, these values represent the total build cost of the ships using the material prices up on the market. These price updates were published on a weekly basis for the first few years of the game until this video series started, at which point the developers transitioned to every 2 weeks. Oh, the timing, oh the timing. Now that the groundwork has been set, there are a few extra things that need covering, as they can be known to further complicate matters with regards to the in-game economy. First up, we have insurance. Unlike real-life insurance, whereby a payout may be used to facilitate the repairs or purchase of a new asset, this is responsible for seeding replacement ships and other assets back into the player's inventory. Whilst the numbers do vary, approximately 30% of the ships returned via insurance consume materials off of the in-game marketplace, whilst the remainder are spawned back into the game without consuming player-gathered resources. The reason this rate isn't 100% is due to how insurance interacts with Plex. I won't get into it here, as it can be its own entire video, and also be the root cause of your next headache. Next up, we have paid boxes. During the releases of new content such as ships, these ships are initially made available to purchase with real currency and are seeded into the game without consuming any player-gathered resources. Following the events that these boxes accompany, the ships can only be obtained by consuming player-gathered resources to build them. The price to purchase these ships tends to hover in the range of £300 to £400, dollars or euros, so it's not so cheap that the market gets oversaturated with these new ships, but it does still represent lost demand for player-gathered materials, and there are much smaller ships that have been much more regularly seeded at lower prices. Next up we have capital ships, which in EVE Echoes are the game's largest class of ships, and are intended for large-scale sovereignty warfare, and thanks to a unique resource known as morphite, which is exclusively used in capital ship production, we can track the demand for capital ships by observing the price of morphite. We can use this principle as well to track the demand for regular ships and structures as much broader categories through the price of planetary materials that are used exclusively for ships or structures, which are included in my fortnightly videos. Then of course we have the new region materials. Demand for the newer ships can be seen by the value of the materials found exclusively in the new regions. These new regions come with various gameplay changes compared to elsewhere within the game, such as restrictions of entry. At the time of writing, these new regions are Cobalt Edge, Kalevala Expanse and Ethereum Reach, and in my videos I refer to them as the Cobalt Planetary Materials. Going back to the premium tradable currency known as Plex, which is responsible for paying for the game's subscription, Plex has limits placed upon it to prevent drastic price fluctuations. The price must stay within a fixed percentage in either direction of its estimated price. This percentage is set by the developers. This was an attempt to address its enormous spike in price, which, left unchanged, would have made the free-to-play subscription option unavailable for many players. This cap in movement has prevented the in-game value from spiking by thousands of percentage points during certain in-game events, but has largely continued to inflate in price nonetheless. The rate of which the regular currency ISK is being seeded into the game has increased consistently with new content due to power creep and the introduction of idle gameplay. This has led to the inflation in price for many high-value commodities, such as Plex. The developers have stated their intention to reduce the rate at which this currency can be earned to level off the Plex rises once again in the future, and one of the objectives of this video series is to track what effect each of their future changes actually have. And that about sums up the EVE Echoes economy right there. I know I'll have missed something when writing this script, so if you happen to already play the game, let me know in the comments section what I missed for those coming in from the outside, and if you found this video helpful, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and until the next video guys, play casual. I don't know why I just clicked my fingers then, you can't see me.